I just want to say that I am one of those people that highly dislikes those customers that literally wait till the last second before you close your shop to want to come in and buy something. Like, information is the best type of power anyone could have. And we literally have it at our fingertips. Kind of like how our teacher said, there'll be no calculators with you everywhere, but lo and behold, we have a calculator in our very pockets all the time. Calling people in multiple countries to calculators and finding out what the hours are when a place is going to be open or closed too. From the smallest business to big names such as Walmart, Costco, Target, whatever. Now, I hate to be that guy, but I'm going to be that guy. I was one of those last minute customers that wants to come in when they're about to close. So, tomorrow, or today, technically, because this was yesterday. So, today is a holiday, and most places will be closed or hours are going to change. Now, I called the guy and I was like, hey, dude, you know, at least I was courteous enough to ask him, like, hey, can you guys stay open for another 5 to 7 minutes so I could come and buy a vape? The guy was like, yeah, sure. He could have said no. I would have said no. I definitely would have said no. He could have said no, but he was like, yeah, sure, 5 to 7 minutes. So I'm like, all right, I'm coming right over. I live in a somewhat small town, so going to A to B necessarily shouldn't take long if you're not in a rush. Like, A to B is probably a 7 to 10 minute drive anywhere in the radius of the town that I live in. So I I got in my car, and as soon as I got in the car, I thought to myself, watch how every single light I hit turns red. And it did. So on one of the main roads, it's 25 miles an hour, which I can see why it should be. But I was going 30, pushing 35. I ain't gonna lie to you. I was breaking some laws there. Everywhere you go, there's gonna be distracted drivers. So when there's a green light, instead of like immediately going, they take another 5 to 7 seconds to actually realize that it's green and that they should go. And 5 to 7 seconds is kind of a kind of a long time. It doesn't seem like a lot, but you know, it's actually a long time. So going 30, 35 and a 25, I'm like in and out, be weaving in and out the lanes as safely as I can. And after the first, second, third, after the third light, there's a long stretch. There's like I want to say a quarter-mile stretch until there's another light until you get to the second main road when the speed limit turns into 55 miles an hour. So when the third light turned green for me to get to the fourth light, so I could go on a faster road. As I was approaching, the light was red. So I'm like, okay, now it's 45 miles an hour to get to this 50-mile lane. So I'm going to push it 50, 55, hoping I could get to that light. Because as soon as I get to that light, it should turn green. Well, halfway onto that quarter mile, the light did turn green. And then, like 4 seconds later, it turned red again. And I was like, God dang, it's my luck. So at this point, 5 minutes went by. When I called the guy and he agreed to stay open for me, he said, yeah, I'll stay open for you. But I told him I'll be there in 5 to 7 minutes. So that's my courtesy. So I'm in the left lane on the 45-mile lane, where the 45-mile lane is a quarter mile long, and this Honda Accord pulls right next to me. There are times when I'm like, sure, let's race, whatever. But, I wasn't trying to race this Honda, but I think he was trying to race me. As soon as the light turned green, you take a turn to get on the 55-mile lane so you could have access to the highway that's a mile down that road. So I'm booking it, I'm looking to see if there's any cops around, see if I'm breaking any laws, which I rightfully was. Because as soon as I was going at 55 lane, I was trying to pump it to 75 to 80. Totally some type of felony there. At least. Definitely towed, definitely getting a ticket. No questions asked. So as I was looking around, I see the Honda Civic or the Honda Accord was like trying to keep up with me. So I'm like, whatever, I'm not focused on you. I'm focused on getting to this smoke shop so I can pick up this. So every gear that I shift to, I kept pulling further and further away while this Honda Accord was, I guess, struggling to keep up. When I realized that I was going 75, I was like, all right, let me calm down a little bit. That's when I thought to myself, like, hey, listen, you were that guy. You should have never, left last minute knowing fully well the store is going to close. You should have asked if, he was going to stay open instead of giving yourself a time limit just for him to stay open. So I slowed down to 60 and, I finally made it to the lane where instead of so this is the highway lane and this is the lane where you turn in to go into the AutoZone, Walmart, Chinese buffet, all that area. So I took the left lane so I could turn left into that plaza. And lo and behold, it wasn't a stoplight, but there were 3 other vehicles that were in that lane. So it's a long road, by the way. It's a mile, maybe a mile and eighth long. So as a two vehicles ahead of the vehicle that was in front of me, so there's four cars in total, me being the 4th car. So as the 2 other vehicles turned, you have this one. There's always that one guy, girl, or grandma, or whoever that stops. There's plenty of room, space, and opportunity to also continue. But they stopped and waited for 7. I counted 7 other vehicles to come by, which took another 2 minutes out of the time. And mind you, I'm already 7 minutes in, so we're at 9 this time. waited for those vehicles to come by and finish, then to take the turn as slowly as they can. I finally was able to take my turn. Luckily, there's no other vehicles coming. So I took the turn, took the right, took the left, parked the car, and I told the guy, he was like, hey, like 10 minutes went by, and I was like, yeah, I'm sorry, dude. Like, I hit every single light on the way here. I sped, I did, and I still hit every single light here. So he was like, no worry. Like, I saw your caller ID. I know you're a loyal customer. You're a pretty good guy. So, I did what I could. So I was like, all right, thanks, man. Got the vape. And long story short, I just want to give him a shout out. You know, Generation V. This is the second time this happened, actually. The first time I lived in Lincoln, where a store agreed to, stay open just a little later for me to stop by. And the second time was here in York. So, I just want to give a shout out to Generation V and give them credit where it's due. You know, what I do hate personally is where companies have to they're indirectly forcing people to like do customer service stuff, like force them to be nice, you know, with the hey, give me a review. They write their name on a card and be like, go online and give me a review. I think that's unnecessary. You know, a business is business. So having someone that you employ doing nice things shouldn't matter if someone's gonna leave them a review or not. You know, it was the same way when I worked at CVS. Like, 90% of people that are customers, they're not looking for people to be nice because they know that it's fake and scripted. But Generation V is not. Even though their company still wants people to leave reviews, because every franchise store is scripted now, unfortunately. But there are few people that aren't scripted and actually like are genuinely nice people. So I want to give a shout out to Logan. I think I forgot his name. I'm so bad. Um, I think his name is Logan. I'm pretty sure his name is Logan. But give a shout out to Logan.